We are pleased to have a distinguished alumna join us today. Ms. Sally Young is a member of the Producers Guild, Directors Guild, and the Television Academy of Arts and Sciences. She is also the production manager and a producer of the award-winning television show Modern Family. She is proud to display her very own Emmy Award in her home, and she brought it to Eastern, and it's way big and way cool, I just gotta tell you, for her contributions as a producer. Raised in Birmingham, Michigan, Ms. Young came to Eastern with a passion for bringing people together, whether for a theater production, fundraiser, or student organization event. Drawing on her studies in psychology and sociology, she began carving out her career path. Working first in Metro Detroit, later in LA, she knocked on doors and learned everything she could from all of those around her. She rose from secretary and script typist to script supervisor, production coordinator, production executive, and producer for television series, theme park films, and theatrical motion pictures. So this speech today is going to be a piece of cake, I'm just saying. As Modern Family works to win its sixth consecutive Emmy, maybe, for Best Comedy Show this fall, she looks back at her career path that began at Eastern. She now sees everything she learned here, and along the way stayed with her and changed her and allowed her to live and realize her dream. Ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to introduce today our commencement speaker, Sally Young.
Thank you, President Martin, distinguished members of the Board of Regents, and proud families and friends of the Eastern Michigan University graduating class of 2015. As some of you know, I returned to Eastern last fall to speak to some of you in TV and film classes about my career in the entertainment industry. And I was so surprised to see how much the campus had changed, and for the better. I don't think this building was even here when I came here. And I especially loved seeing Downing Hall, where I lived in my freshman and sophomore year. I think I managed to break every rule in the dorm except housing a pet. I'm normally not a rule breaker, but I do challenge the status quo if I don't think rules serve a good purpose. And now, thank you. And now I'm pretty sure most of those rules don't exist anymore. So maybe I was just ahead of my time. But senior year, I just couldn't wait to graduate. I was thinking, if I'm gonna work this hard, I wanna get paid for it. Anybody relate to that? Yeah. So when I went to Eastern, there was a drama department, but no film, TV, or media departments. So my education centered on psychology, sociology, and counseling classes in preparation for a master's in social work, in case my plan to work in entertainment did not pan out. Well, little did I know how much my education here would come into play in my career, resolving conflicts, negotiating, creating win-wins, and figuring out what makes people tick. That fills a large part of my day. Outside of attending classes, I helped produce the homecoming concerts here, served in student government, and worked on the Eastern Echo. These were a big part of my education and were just as important as my classes. Working at the Echo actually helped me land my first job. After graduation, my dear friend to this day and EMU marketing graduate, Greg Tom, up there somewhere, advised me to approach ad agencies in the Detroit area if TV and radio stations were not responding to my job applications. And I landed a job at WB Donor Advertising in Southfield. I started as a secretary, typing scripts and booking production time for the producers to make commercials. One of the copywriters there asked me if I would work for him on weekends typing a screenplay he was writing because he wanted to direct movies and write in Hollywood one day. Well, the thought of someone going to Hollywood sparked my interest, and I said, Larry, I want to go to Hollywood too. We called him Larry back then. So I typed his screenplay, and it was the first draft of Lawrence Kasdan's film script, The Big Chill, about U of M grads reuniting for a weekend. As some of you may know, Lawrence Kasdan has a stunning career writing and directing films in Hollywood, most recently having finished Star Wars 7. While at Donor, I would gain knowledge from the agency producers and take classes at local production companies and go out on shoots after hours to observe and learn. My agency noticed my interest and promoted me first to a junior producer for radio spots and then television commercials. It made me wonder, if I could do a 30-second commercial, could I do a 30-minute TV show? Well, I noticed when the film's crews were hired on our commercial shoots, the script supervisor was the only other female on the set besides me. So I saw that she was in the middle of everything and everything that was going on, and I said, that's what I want to do. Now, when I got out of school, I got my first apartment, got my job at Donor, and I wanted to put some art on my walls, and I found this poster, and it had crashing waves and rocky walls, and I kind of thought it reminded me of California. So I took it with me when I moved out and west and had it for many years until the cardboard was bent and frayed, but I never forgot it, because across the bottom there was a saying from Johann Goethe that said, "When you trust yourself, you will know how to live." It sounded very insightful, and I realized I was starting to live it as I moved out west. It became my inspiration. When I got to Hollywood, the Norman Lear group of comedies was on my wish list of places that I had hoped to work someday. They produced hit comedy shows like All in the Family, Maude, The Jeffersons, among others, and after repeatedly reminding them of my availability, I finally got in the door. Now, they didn't need an agency producer, so I started over again, typing scripts on the TV series Maude. My second day at work was the taping of an episode. And imagine my surprise when they said, "You sit behind the script supervisor in the booth and learn her job." Rather than protect her knowledge, that woman taught me everything she knew so that the show would not suffer if she could not be there. Because the company knew I was trained by the best, I got the next script supervisor opening. I was so lucky to have helpful people around me as I rose up in my industry, and I never forgot it. It's so important to find mentors and then to be a mentor to someone else. I called upon these words again on my poster when my next dream was to become a producer. So after working on several series as a script supervisor, I moved on, and I continued to trust myself. I started over yet again as a secretary at the ABC network. They had an in-house production company division that made television series and theatrical films, and I wanted in. And I wanted to be part of that division. And 1 year later, I made it in. So, time for another wish to be fulfilled. I left ABC to become a freelance producer, striking out on my own without a company behind me. And it was another big risk. Now, I really had to trust myself. The freelance life is challenging, and it took everything I had. Now, after I left ABC, when I left for LA, I'd made a wish list of 15 items that I wanted to accomplish. They were just things to kind of get me motivated and see if I could go in those directions. And all of a sudden, I realized the wishes were becoming a reality. Script supervisor, check. Parking spot with my name on it, check. Screen credit, check. Working on feature films out of town with major movie stars. Well, there was Jack Nicholson, Meryl Streep, Kurt Russell, Bette Midler, and I was in Washington, D.C., Dallas, New York, Miami, check. And then I said, well, what's next? I want to be a producer. Now, that was a big risk because it meant leaving the comfort of ABC after 10 years and going out on my own. The freelance life is challenging. Consistency of employment is hard to come by. It's an unsettling life, trying to string together a series of jobs and assignments. Sometimes there's huge gaps between projects and paychecks. Unpredictable elements like union strikes, the bad economy, events like 9/11, can all have a huge impact on the ability of work in any industry, including mine. Pay scales vary greatly, and lots of networking is involved to find projects who may be looking for people to staff their TV shows and films. Being an independent producer definitely has its share of challenges, but I persevered, and so far I had managed pretty well. And then something wonderful happened. Several years before this, I took a very low-paying producing job in Utah from a studio because A, I truly believe there are no small jobs, only small people, and B, I always learn something no matter how big or small the assignment. Then that same studio asked me to stay in Utah because they had a miniseries that had just gotten a green light and they were sending it up. The executive producer assigned to that project would be the man who would eventually hire me several years later for the Modern Family show. I started on Modern Family as a production manager, and then my producer credit followed a few seasons later. I now start the 7th season of Modern Family this coming July. Finally, some job security. I was able to do all this because, as my poster said, I trusted myself. Now, some of you may not even know where you're going when you leave here, and you may not have found your passion, and that's okay. I did not know what a production manager was when I came to LA, and yet it's what I've been doing for the past 20 years as part of my producing job. I learned that a lot of what this job required was things I either enjoyed doing or were good at, so that's the direction I chose. And I hope you all find work that is something that you like to do, too. Now, about that 15-item list I made. Well, the last 3 items were finally checked off on Modern Family. They were going on location to a foreign country. Well, I did that. We did an episode in Australia last year. Winning a major award. I finally got my Emmy. And last, to work on a project that made a difference. Well, at first Modern Family was just another comedy on TV, but then its popularity exploded. It became the favorite TV show of people as diverse as the Romneys, the Obamas, and Kobe Bryant. Humor can bridge gender gaps, political and cultural differences, and Modern Family has changed our culture, I think, for the better. When we are shooting on location around Los Angeles, families come up to us and say that ours is the only show on television they all watch together. We get letters from enlisted military and couples who have chosen alternative lifestyles and thank us for making episodes they can use to open a dialogue with their friends and families. And how many times we've welcomed a child from Make-A-Wish Foundation whose dream it was to spend a day on our set. The show I work on has made the world a better place. And so my wish list is complete. Now I'm making a bucket list. So if I were to give you any advice, it would be this. Number 1, consider yourself the CEO of You Incorporated. And in the spirit of trusting yourself, set up a trust fund. And I'm just not talking about money here. There are many forms of currency in this life. Good friends, mentors, good health, a sound moral compass, ethics, character, gratitude, and giving back. Feed all these currencies in your trust fund, and also keep a screw you or I want to do that now bank account in case you ever need it. Be sure You Incorporated has a trust fund with full tanks so you can afford to leave a situation of any kind, professional or personal, if it does not serve you, the CEO. 2, network and maintain contacts with people you meet who could benefit you in some way. Because it's not just who you know, it's who they know. And it's gotten me back in the game many times. 3, nurture the relationships that nourish you. Good friends and mentors will help you trust yourself. 2 of my closest friends are here today. Greg Tom, who helped me with this speech and gave me that great career advice, and Michelle Nalepa, who was my freshman roommate at Eastern, and we've been the best of friends ever since. They are my go-to people whenever I need some good, sound advice. And thank you all to my other friends here today, whom I know because of Greg and Michelle. We continue to cross the country for visits every couple of years and continue to stay in touch to this day. Thank you all for continuing to be part of my life. So graduates, you may have already made some lifelong friends here at Eastern and not know it yet. So how wonderful for you if you did. 4, embrace adversity, failure, heartbreak, disappointments, financial despair, getting fired, health challenges, humiliation. Yep, they've all happened to me. But this is where your trust fund comes in. If you kept those tanks topped off, they will fuel you with your courage. They will feed your strength. So giving up will not be an option. You will have no idea what you can do until you are tested. So thank the universe for these tests and challenges, the lessons learned, the scars. They will heal. During these times, you can draw from your trust fund, your good friends, your mentors, your memories, a good moral compass, and a sound financial balance sheet that you, Incorporated, have been keeping. You will see how strong you become and how strong you are, because you will have the resources to keep going. You will see how much you trust yourself. And finally, give back. I would not be standing before you today had I not contacted my high school and college last fall when I came to do a piece at WXYZ about Modern Family, its 5th Emmy win, and me, the hometown producer who was on the team. So I checked in with my high school and Eastern to make myself available to hopefully inspire students to go for their dreams. And then Eastern invited me back again today. I could never have imagined such an honor that I am about to be bestowed. It's far too grand for any wish list or bucket list for that matter, and it is something I shall cherish forever. For all of you leaving here today, this is just the beginning of your education. Learning never ends. The school of life is waiting for you, and it's waiting for you, Incorporated. Now, I could say I was just fortunate to have opportunities I've had, the Emmy wins, the travel, the glamour and excitement, but I recall a conversation with a writer on my first job in one of my Hollywood jobs, and I was telling him at that time I felt so lucky because I'd gone from secretary to agency producer and from secretary to script supervisor, and he said, "Sally, it's not luck. As Louis Pasteur, the famous chemist, said, chance favors the prepared mind." And as the years have passed, I saw it was true. Ready when the opportunities came and able to do the task and being in the right place at the right time. So in closing, I say to you, be prepared and keep your trust fund full. And then go live a life where you trust yourself. And then watch what happens. Congratulations to you, the Eastern Michigan University graduating class of 2015.